Everybody goes through trials. I've often had people ask, well, why do we go through trials? What's their purpose and what should our response be? What people don't realize is trials come from different aspects. There's an evil aspect. Sometimes trials come from Satan. Sometimes they come from the world system in which we live. And sometimes they come from our own sin nature. In fact, James 4 talks about that. He talks about all these quarrels and fights come from the desires within us we lust and don't have. And then it says, don't you know that friendship with the world, there's the world, is that to be an enemy of God. And then it says, resist the devil in James 4:7, and he will flee from you. So we see that they're all involved in trials. But there's another aspect of trials. Trials come from God. And people think, whoa, what's that? No, now God doesn't tempt us to evil. James 1:13 says, let no one say when he's tempted that he's tempted by God, because God cannot be tempted with evil, neither does he tempt anyone with evil. God never tempts us to do evil. Satan does, our sin nature does, the world system does. God tries us to bring about good. In fact, Genesis 22:1 says, God tested Abraham. He told him to sacrifice Isaac. We're told in Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verses 2 and 3, I led you in the wilderness these 40 years to tempt you, to test you, to try you, to humble you, and to hunger you. He says trials bring about hunger and they bring humility. God allows trials to humble us, to show us that we're totally dependent upon Him, and to hunger us. In fact, it says there in verse 3, to teach you that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. God uses trials to humble us, to show our dependence, and He uses trials to hunger us, to show us that we need more than ourselves, to conquer our sin, to conquer Satan, and to conquer the world system. So what are you doing with your trials? Did you realize God is using this trial to grow you? Satan uses it to destroy you, to cause you to be defeated. God uses trials to grow you, to become more like Christ, to be all that God wants you to be. So in the midst of your trial, turn to Christ. Become humble, submit yourself to God, humble yourselves before God. Hunger for Christ and His Word, because trials show you that you need something more than yourself. If you trust Christ, He'll give you Himself.